Andrew Tate is a scammer and grifter. In this video, I'm going to prove it. So, a lot of people know that there's a lot of controversy around him. A lot of people know about his online university, but I don't think a lot of people talk about what are the structural features of this that make it not what it seems. So, right now in front of me, I have jointherealworld.com pulled up, and we're going to go through step by step why exactly this is extremely misleading. It's a very strong use of sales techniques and manipulative tactics to get young men to pay the $100 a month to join. So let's first talk about a lot of the advertisements. So you have to be understanding that these advertisements, because Andrew Tate is banned on like YouTube and stuff, he has Rumble where he posts long form content. And on that content, he has these ads where it's pretty much targeting a specific niche, a specific person, a specific pain point, which is young men who don't have money, who feel lost in life, who feel like they don't have direction. And he has painted that picture so vividly that if you're of that subgroup, you can see, and when you're like, hit with that kind of ad, you can just resonate so deeply with it. And that's a key, aspect of how you do sales is you got to resonate with your customer. You have to make them understand that you know their problem so well, because usually if you know their problem so well, then you can also fix it. And that's exactly what he does. He highlights the fact that, the economy is bad, the world's going to shit, it's very difficult to make money, all these different things, AI might take your job. He harnesses a lot of these like fear-mongering based approaches for these advertisements. Also, whenever we see something very extreme, like, oh, my way is the only way, right? You can tend to notice that this is not necessarily accurate information, because the truth of the matter is, yes, of course, right? Going to university may not be the best choice for a lot of people. It may be useless. I agree. But there still will be people who go to university and even average universities who end up doing well, and the universities do help them to some extent. You cannot make a blanket statement like all universities don't work, which I think is very important to understand. And additionally, you can't make a blanket statement like everybody in my online community makes money. And we're going to talk about why that thing, that idea of everybody makes money, right, won't actually work. So if you scroll down, right, they have a lot of things here, but I want to mainly focus, if you scroll all the way down to the different ways they tout these kind of 10 plus wealth creation methods, okay? And I think what we're seeing here is we're seeing a perfect funnel, right? They've mastered the art of funneling, which is just pretty much you get people's attention with the ad on the long form content, then you funnel them to the website. Then once they get to the website, you pretty much deal with all their kind of questions, concerns, maybe disbelief, maybe anything they don't understand. As they scroll through that website, their mind starts to change. They start to think, oh my gosh, wait, this is actually like making a lot of good sense. All of this, right? So the website is providing supposedly irrefutable evidence that therealworld.com is the only place you can make money, right? So they have these different wealth creation methods. Let's go through them one by one, right? So you have AI automation, you have business mastery, you have client acquisition, you have content creation plus AI, you have crypto altcoins, you have crypto investing, crypto trading, e-commerce, fitness, and strategic marketing, okay? So I want to highlight a lot of this stuff, right? This is not something like, even though he says like he will take the outliers of people who joined his thing and like maybe in the first 90 days, they somehow made like $1,500, right? Through legitimate means. I'm not saying that they didn't make the money the way they did, but I'm saying that out of all the people, you think about 155K people, right? In his community. And you take the most extreme people who maybe suffered from, it could be a lot of things, right? Maybe an extreme like good luck run, and they ended up making it. Or maybe they were like directly mentored and chosen and singled out that makes them different from what the average person will experience. So you take this small subset of people who end up making a lot of money in a very short time. And then those people represent almost the entirety of the testimonials. Because what are the testimonials going to be? The testimonials, well, first of all, they're very important because when we go to buy something, right, we want to see social proof. We want to see other people who use that product and say it's actually worth it. And that's why testimonials are so important for closing, because when we go to try to decide if we're going to buy something and we're on the fence and we have all the information, it looks convincing, looks pretty good. The thing that can close you is a testimonial, because it's another human being, given it's not AI generated, which I don't think it is in this case. Although, to be honest, sometimes in some of his ads, he has AI testimonials, which I think is just wrong. But But these testimonials make you feel like, wait a second, there's someone else who's in my position. They started making money. It actually worked for them. That means it can work for me. But the problem is all these testimonials, right? They're all from this extreme subgroup who got potentially very lucky and made an inordinate amount of money in a very short amount of time. And they make it very suggestive of that, of you, if you join, you will actually get the same result as them, which is not true. This is something like Nassim Taleb has kind of talked about, right? The idea where all these wealth creation mechanisms, right? These are all in the world of Extremistan, which that means that they benefit from these kind of really small tails where everybody in that group of 10 people, they in these different fields, they make all the money. Think about Andrew Tate, right? In the guru space, he's making all the money and everybody else is making much, much, much less than him. And that's a reality of kind of just partially luck, partially a skill with marketing. I do have to, agree that he's very skilled at marketing, right? But my argument today is about the actual fundamental underlying product, which is this real world community. And I want to point something else too, right? So, okay, let's say 10 plus wealth creation methods. Let's assume each wealth creation method has its own community. Take 155,000 people and you divide by 10. What is that? It's like 15,000. Okay, so we can assume that maybe there's like 15,000 each one, right? Which is not really true because there's definitely like more in some and less than others. 15,000 people. How are you going to meet other people in a meaningful way? How are you going to receive mentorship from Andrew Tate in a meaningful way? And the fact is, I've been in mentorship too, and like what's happening inside, I guarantee you, is there's upselling going on. So the $100 a month, $99 a month, because of the psychological influence of the 99 versus the 100. $99 a month is the base. Then they have other tiers of membership, which go up to like $500 a month. And there's definitely upsells with personal mentorship. I guarantee you going up to like $1,000, maybe $2,000, maybe even like $10,000 a month. And they're just getting people to upsell. And that's the crazy thing, because if you think, wait a second, if their original product actually worked, why would they keep upselling people? Well, it's because in the original product, when you pay for $100 a month, you're not actually getting that mentorship. You're not getting like one-on-one time with Andrew and Tristan Tate, which I think we can agree that like makes sense, right? Yeah, like you're paying $100 a month, you're not going to really talk to them. I understand that. But the way they paint it, right? They make it seem like all the best people are kind of, available to you, right? And I'm not going to go and question, the usefulness of what they're teaching, but I'm going to question the link between learning about these things and actually making money, because you would assume like, okay, once I know the skills, I can just transfer that into like, I can just make a bunch of money. Like that's not how it works. Like one example is content creation, right? Even if you're doing the best things, you have the best funnels, you have, the best strategy, all this stuff, content creation takes a while for things to blow up. I think that on feeds and stuff that you see, you think that, oh, because I see, let's say like somebody recently blow up, and I just see a lot of those, right? That makes me think that everybody who starts just blows up, and like in a good way. When I say blow up, I mean that they get a bunch of followers and a bunch of attention, and also a bunch of money because of the fact they have all those eyeballs, right? But the truth of the matter is, those are just the extreme outliers being shown to you, and it's because the pool of people watching social media is so huge that there could easily be 100,000, even a million extreme outliers, right? Which are not representative of what the normal person experiences. And those can represent the entirety of your feed. Because think about a million people all producing content 24/7, that's a lot of videos. And if those videos do go viral, right, they're just getting a lot of views. So they're getting a disproportionate amount of the attention. Same thing with like AI automation, right? Like working with businesses is difficult because you want to offer your services, but they actually need to be useful. And I think for a lot of people, unless you have prior experience, actually trying to get your first client is very difficult because you need to get them to trust you, but you don't have anything to get them to trust you with. And so it's like a circular loop, which is like very hard. And also you yourself not being a business person, it's hard to imagine what kind of needs exactly they need. So my whole point is, yes, you could eventually do it, but it's probably for most of these things going to take at least 1 to 3 years to do. So the claim that's being perpetuated throughout all the advertisements, through all the kind of testimonials, through all the speaking, is this idea that, okay, you join, you will make money, guaranteed, right? And, the testimonials that you use suggest that it'll be in a very short amount of time, which is not the case, right? And I guarantee there's going to be people who for 5 years don't make any money, right? And think about how much you're paying per month, right? $100 per month. Well, yeah, I agree. For 1 month, it doesn't add up that, it doesn't cost that much. But there is an extent where, yes, if you if you learn the skills, you put yourself in a better position to do well, but it doesn't mean that you're going to actually, succeed. So like, and then if you think about like crypto, like let's just say like pretty much, I'm just going to call it investing and trading. Okay. Very volatile investing and trading. We know that most day traders lose money. And so if we go, let's say, try to apply this to the realm of hedge fund managers and those kind of people, how many of those people are successful? Very few. How many of those people spent years and years perfecting their craft? Very few. How many of those people had to read a bunch of books to learn what they're doing so they actually make money? Very few, right? And I think the crazy thing, in my opinion, is like, why is there only like crypto investing stuff? Like this makes no sense. Why don't you have normal investing, right? I don't know, but the problem is that crypto is very prone to like scammy situations, And when you have this many people, 155K, there are definitely going to be opportunistic people who are entering into the online campus thing, and it may not work, right? And then, like the thing is too, they post all these like snapshots of the testimonials from the group pages, right? Like people buying a 60 foot yacht. You have people riding first class, and these are all like the students, right? And the point is like, you have to understand for each one of these you see, these are going to be the best ones, right? They're not going to put the terrible people who are struggling on the front page of their website. So for each of these where they're saying, oh, like, I have over 40K I made, another 10K, I made this month, right? There are going to be other people, probably at least like thousands, if not, maybe like let's say 1,000 people for every one post that we see that's successful who are struggling, right? And then, so maybe these people stuck with the program for 3 to 5 years and they actually ended up seeing the payoff, right? But the whole website and the whole system is created in a way to make it seem like that these are so tangible. You can touch this success, and therefore you just need to be inside here to actually succeed. And I mean, the truth of the matter is you cannot possibly have extremely successful personal mentorship with such a huge group of people, because if you think about the people who actually did become successful, which are Andrew and Tristan Tate, right? They cannot possibly mentor people. And so this is what's going to happen is eventually, right? Which is what happens. You have to resort to the upselling model where people are paying you 10K a month just to talk to you, right? Which is not very, useful to the average person who's paying $100, right? So if you're talking about like really, really something that's useful, something that actually has a community, right? Communities are supposed to be tight-knit communities that have less people. You cannot have a city be a community. That is not how it works. And you need to have like direct oversight with somebody who is successful, intertwined with each person, and somebody who's taking the long view, right? So like all of these things put together have to make you understand that, yes, there are like, let's say maybe like 1% of the people who join his group make money, and then probably make a lot of money, right? But to justify dropping out of university, to justify all these other things, right? To pay $100 a month for multiple years on end, especially when they're so successful at these psychological like sales tactics, I don't think you actually need it. Like in my opinion, I mean, this is the other thing I don't like is like they don't support like reading books or those kind of things because they want you to just join the community, because they don't want you to think about this too much, because if you did, you would realize, oh, wait a second, like I can just ask AI for this stuff, right? Think about all those 10 wealth creation things I mentioned, right? If you're talking about I'm lacking skills, yeah, you can learn from the best people, but what if you took the top 10 books in each field that everybody uses, and then you ask AI to teach you about it, and then you ask AI specifically to teach you to implement it, and then you ask AI to like do all this other stuff? You can use a $20 a month like subscription to whatever, maybe Grok or something. I recommend that, right? And then, or even Manus, and that will be your golden ticket. That is going to be infinitely more useful than doing this, because the issues you're going to struggle with AI, right? And like, let's say like, oh, but like, I don't know anybody who's had it. You just ask them. You leverage other people's experience, because there's people on Reddit who've talked about it that AI can access. There's people on the web who've talked about the same issues that you can access. So like, and also the other thing is I don't know how accessible those people actually are in the community, right? And like you would have to know which ones are successful. You have to do another whole filtering process, right? Because there are people in that community who are definitely going to scam you. I'm not saying that the company itself is, let's say, directly trying to scam people, like extort them for money and stuff, but there are people in there who most likely, are hiding and they're scamming people. And so like you would have to, use your own brain to like kind of be careful of that. And so in the end, you don't really gain that much, and then really what they have is just this really successful funnel. And that's what's shown by the fact that they have 155,000 people involved in this kind of whole program, right? So like, I think really what I'm trying to emphasize is like, yeah, just on the website, it's saying you're running out of time, right? The world will change forever in 2026. This is a classic thing where they're trying to stop you from thinking. They're trying to make you like immediate be like, oh, I have to do this, because they know you're broke. They know you don't have any money. That's why you're here, right? And so they're harnessing that fear, and they're using that fear to control you to make this decision where they're able to, just leverage and use your $100 and then even upsell you, right, all the way. So my main thing I'm trying to get across is that the whole system is just overblown, right? Like there's things on here like that say like grow your business to multi-seven figures. There could be literally like 2 people in the entire community who've actually done that. But you're making it seem like everybody does that. No. Success, not everybody can have success. And I would, support people trying to go their own way. And I think that, pre-AI, this whole thing had a better argument for like why you need to do this. But now in the world of AI, you just have to learn how to prompt things correctly. Like if you learn like correct prompting for AI, which you can ask AI how to learn, okay? It just all comes down to if you actually want to learn something, which I'm sure the 155,000 people in this thing want to learn, right? Just spend time learning yourself. You buy a laptop, okay? Use the internet, use AI, learn from both. Ask a lot of questions. Get books from online, just read free PDFs, or ask AI how to summarize them with like the maximum kind of, impact for what you can apply. Go out and try things, make mistakes, make content, all this other stuff. But don't join the real world, because quite honestly, it's truly a waste of money.